The Language of Qur'an, Lesson 7, Part 2. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Lesson 7, Part 2. In Part 1, we went through the primary ways of expressing Iraab, three different ways of declension, the fully declined, the partly, and the mabni. In this lesson, we're going to look at the special categories outside those, insha'Allah. So the three primary ways of declension are, number one, munsarif, ghayru munsarif, and mabni. And of course, the example we had was Muhammadun, Muhammadan, Muhammadin, fully declining. It takes tanween, has three different endings in the three different i'rab. And also the partly declining, which is the example word is Ibrahimu, Ibrahima, Ibrahima. Changes, but only in two, and Nasb and Jarr is exactly the same. And Mabni, on the other hand, does not change. And 85%, of course, we've been referring to them as the majority, and 13% Ghayru Munsarif, and Hadha, Alladhina, etc. About 2% of the words, they do not change in any of the three different i'rab. So it will be Rafa, Nasab and Jar exactly the same. So these are your primary ways of declension. Most common way of recognizing the i'rab of a ism is by the vowel sign at the end. So this category that we've been looking at so far have been those where the change in the vowel sign indicates the i'rab of the ism. So let's quickly review those, inshallah, and this is what you're familiar with already. And as you know, the vowel at the end, or the tanween or the single, will tell us what is rafa, nasab or jar. So this is what we've done so far, and they include our singular masculine, muslimun, singular feminine, and of course it includes broken plurals as well as singular words. So they vast range, our 85%. And when al appears, we get a single vowel sign. So it is the haraka at the end that tells us what the i'rab is, and that is why they are categorized as the recognition of i'rab through the change of the vowel sign. Now let's quickly look at the other category, which is the ghayru munsarif. They also change with the vowel sign. So you can see here single vowel u, a, and a. So instead of having three endings, got two, but still it is the vowel sign that will indicate to us whether it is Rafa, Nasab and Jar. And of course for Nasab and Jar is the same, and it is the role that will tell us in that case. Anyhow, the word Ghayru Munsarif word, when al is added, as you've noted, it will become fully munsarif, and it will take a kasra in Jar status. So this is the changing of the vowel signs based on haraka, which we are already familiar with. There are categories of ism that do not change their i'rab or indicate their change in the i'rab based on vowel signs. They use letters as a suffix, and we've seen already the duals, and there are others, inshallah. So in this session, we're now going to look at the special cases or special categories of ism that reflect their i'rab or express their i'rab other than using vowel signs at the end. Now these are already ones we are already familiar with. For example, here we have our duals, and we have our masculine plurals, sound masculine plurals, and we have our sound feminine plurals. Please note that these ones we've studied in detail in lesson number 4. Please refer back to that lesson. Now here we can note very easily that it is not the change of a vowel, but a combination of vowels and letters. So here I'm adding ani and aini and aini. And here I'm adding una, and we have got ina, and we've got ina. And of course here atun, atin, atin. So not just vowels, but a combination of letters and vowels. And just for your information, the masculine dual and the feminine dual is exactly the same, except for the ta there, which you can see, ani, aini, aini. And when we add al to this one, we end up with a single vowel. So in all of these cases, we are changing the i'rab or expressing the i'rab through a combination of letters and vowels. So it is no longer single ending haraka, but a combination. So these are our special categories. And so far, of course, you're familiar with the dual, sound masculine plural, sound feminine plural, the ones we've done in lesson number 4. And in order to master lesson number 4 and all these endings, all you've got to do is memorize the Muslim table, which I asked you to do in lesson number 4, and I asked you to do some examples with other words also. They will make life a lot easier for you, and you'll begin. Like we've seen with the duals and with the sound masculine plurals, sound feminine plurals, they decline in their own way. We have also another set of ism which end with in sound in rafa, which you can see here, wadin. And also in jarr, it also end with wadin. And in the nasab, you see wadiyan, wadiyan. And for when we add al, of course the tanween will disappear, but we have al-wadi in the rafa, and al-wadiya in the nasab, and al-wadi in jarr. Now why it does that? Because it has a special ending, usually with a kasra before the ya, and it disappears in this indefinite, comes back in the definite. And this is the details, inshallah, we pick up in the advanced form. Here the purpose is to show you this another category which declines or expresses its i'rab slightly differently than the standard way. And it is this way that this particular set of words, they decline in this way. And these names, these words are called manqus. Again, we don't have to learn the terminology at this stage, just be aware of them. There are some of them used in the Qur'an. To illustrate how the declension or the expression of i'rab happens with these type of words, I've chosen one word which is qadin, means a judge, and it declines exactly the same way, or belongs to the manqus category of wadin. So I want to say a judge came. Ja'a wa qadin. Ja'a qadin. I saw a judge. So it will be ra'aytu qadian. So in the nasab you see the fatha come back. Sallamtu ala qadin. So it is jar here, it is rafa here, and it is nasab here because of the role. Again, I go back to remind you of rice. Then I want to say the judge came. When I add al to it, this is what happens to it. I get ja al qadi, ra'aytu al qadiya. Again, the fatha is there for the nasab. Sallamtu ala al qadi. So again, this is jar, this is rafa, and this is of course nasab. And you can see here how they decline. So these are special types of words, and they are due to the phonetic reasons, the inshallah ta'ala, which when you go into advanced sarf, and inshallah you finish book 2, you will look at these types of special words. So these are special declension, special ways of expressing their i'rab, and it only happens to this particular category of words. The next set of words we're going to look at are called maqsoor. Now what happens with these, you can see the two fathas here, two fathas there, and two fathas there, tanween, and they are the same in rafa, nasab, and jar. So asan, asan, asan. Technically there's an alif at the end. So asan, asan, asan. You can see here there is no change in the rafa, nasab, and jar. When we add al, we end up with the tanween going al-asa, al-asa, al-asa. Same thing with the word Qur'an, another example of the same type of words. And you can see al-qura, 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 Qur'an, Qur'an, Qur'an. And you can see here exactly the same principle, that these are another special set of categories, and they only decline in this specific way. Another set of words where we have alif at the end, and this alif at the end, which is noticeable here, for example, you can see dunya, dunya, dunya. Again, for phonetic reasons, they do not change their ending. And when I put al in front, ad-dunya, ad-dunya, ad-dunya. Again, rafa, nasab, and jar, exactly the same. Bushra, bushra, bushra. Al-bushra, al-bushra, al-bushra. You can see the same. Again, because there's no tanween with al, there is no change. So please note, again, another special set of way of expressing i'rab, and it only happens with this type of, again, a special category with the alif at the end. There are 5 special nouns in Arabic that decline a specific way when they're mudaf. Now mudaf we haven't studied, but we will pick up inshallah lesson number 10, but this specific example will be looked at in lesson number 11.1. Now here what we have, instead of a fatha, damma, kasra, or a combination of letters and vowels, we have 3 letters being used to express the i'rab. Waw in rafa, alif in nasab, and ya in jar. Again, a different way of doing it. We will discuss it in detail in further lessons. I'm giving you here for a comprehensive notes. So I want to say Abu Hamidin, father of Hamid. Akhu Hamidin. So this is now rafa with a waw. Aba Hamidin, father of Hamid, or Hamid's father. Akha Hamidin, Hamid's brother, with an nasab with the alif. And jarr here, Abi Hamidin, jarr with a ya, Akhi Hamidin, jarr with a ya. So instead of using any other things, there's using specific letters. Waw for rafa, alif for nasab, and ya for jarr. Again, this is only with these 5 special nouns. To illustrate the example, I want to say Hamid's brother came. I would say Ja'a Akhu Hamidin. So this is now rafa. Akhu Hamidin. Ra'aytu, I saw the brother of Hamid, Akha Hamidin. I gave salam to the brother of Hamid or Hamid's brother. Salamtu ala Akhi Hamidin. So you can see the word Akhu, Akha, Akhi, Rafa, Nasab and Jar using Waw, Alif and Ya. And again, the way we identify the Iraab is through the role, the Iraab, and this particular category uses Waw, Alif and Ya to express its Iraab. I hope this is making sense, but this particular set is very important because they're very frequently used in Hadith, in Qur'an. We will be studying Abu and Akhu, that example, but it only happens when it's mudaf. Please wait till lesson number 10 for further details. The biggest confusion I've seen with people starting to learn the subject of Iraab is when they start to assume or they're told that this final vowel sign or the haraka is Iraab. This is technically not correct. It causes a lot of confusion, a lot of questions to come in the mind of the students. So please remove this from your mind. Yes, for some sets of words, it will be the haraka, as we've seen many times, but it is not an exclusive rule. Just because you see dhamma, it doesn't mean it will be rafa. Just because you see fatha, it doesn't mean it will be nasab. And just because you see a kasra, it's not necessary that it will be jar. It is dependent upon the category of ism, how it will express its i'rab. So take example of these words here. Now we have muslimin and al-muslimi. Now we can tell for this type of words, because they belong to the munsarif category, yes, this is jar. No problem. Okay, because of the category. However, hadhihi also has a kasra. We cannot say this is jar. Why? Because it is mabni. It could be rafa, nasab, or jar. It is only the context that will tell us. And we have here Muslimaani. Again, we have a kasra at the end. Kasra at the end. But this is actually rafa. This is rafa. Why? Because it is dual. Dual rafa ending is ani. Ani. So therefore it is rafa. If it was nasab or jar, it will be aini, aini. Again, we have here masajida. Masajida. We cannot assume just it will be nasab alone. It could be jar also. Why? Because this is ghayru munsarif. So you can see with these examples here, the other ones I've shown you, qadin. Qadin could be rafa or jar. Asan could be rafa, nasab or jar. So it is not always the final haraka. It is not the haraka, the vowel sign at the end, that dictates the i'rab. Please note that. This is a major confusion. If you just accept that as a fact and begin to learn the different categories, inshallah ta'ala, this confusion will be removed and you'll be able to make progress in your Arabic relatively quickly. Another confusion with i'rab that we need to tackle is the fact that in English, the i'rab itself on its own cannot really be translated. For example, if I say to you, kitabun, kitaban, kitabin, in either case, it is a book, you'll translate. It is only the context that will tell you what is the difference between kitabun, kitaban, kitabin. Just example, for example, in English, he, him, or his refers to the same person. On its own, you can't really explain it with a one-word translation. You would have to give he is the subject and him is, object, and you can say his is possessive. That kind of detail you may have to give. Same thing. So I have here a descriptive phrase, which you can see. Ja'a shaykhun karimun. Ra'aytu shaykhan kariman. Sallamtu ala shaykhin karimin. A noble sheikh came. I saw a noble sheikh. I gave salam to a noble sheikh. In all circumstances, the words shaykh and karim are being translated the same. It is the context in which they appear that tells us the difference. And this is why the i'rab is so important. Otherwise, you will be lost. We will not be able to understand the text here. So what is the role, the function of the ism in Arabic? This is the most critical part of understanding the subject. So please note, the i'rab itself cannot be translated. It does not change the meaning in English. It gives us more detail about the role and the function that particular ism is doing in the sentence. In conclusion to all we've discussed so far, the intention behind this lesson is really to give you an overview, so you're not lost as you go progressing in Arabic. Some of the stuff I mentioned is usually studied in very advanced lessons, but because I've given you summarized notes without the pressure of terminology and understanding all the details at this stage, inshallah ta'ala, I hope you'll not find this overwhelming. All you need to do is to be aware that 85% goes dun dun, dan dan, din din, but there are others like the duals, the sound masculine plurals, the special types, the 5 nouns. They all express their i'rab differently. Why? Because they belong to a different category of ism. So now in the last part, inshallah, I'm going to give you an overview of rice. So you have a clear idea, role, i'rab, and then you have the categories and the how they express their i'rab. So these are the main ones that you're likely to come across in your studies all the way through advanced level. Please just make a note of them. Don't be worried about all of them. I'm only going to mention a few, but I'm going to tell you the overall mapping, because I always believe that if I lay a map in front of you, you know exactly what you're going to be facing and you're not daunted by a fear of endless learning. This is not the case. The biggest problem in Arabic is not learning rules. Biggest problem is practicing. The more you practice, the easier it will become, inshallah. So it is the role of the ism that dictates what its i'rab will be. So it is the role that will tell us what its i'rab will be. What do I mean by that? There are eight roles the grammarians in Arabic have identified, which puts the ism in the rafa or marfu' i'rab. Now marfu' or rafa, the 8 of them are listed here. Don't worry about them. The ones you already know are when it is mubtada and when it is khabar. So here Allahu is our mubtada and the khabar is akbaru. So you can see here both the subject and the predicate, the mubtada and the khabar, are marfu' or in rafa. The other one we've covered with the examples of the ja'a type sentence that we've been doing is number 3, where we can see here, inshallah ta'ala, the doer of the verb. Nasara hamidun is always rafa. And then the others, inshallah, we'll cover in the forthcoming lessons. We are going to cover lesson number 5 in lesson number 13. The others will be covered in the we're also going to cover, I forgot, number 7 as well in lesson 14, inshallah, and the rest we'll cover in book 2. So the only 8 reasons for an ism to be rafa or marfu', and inshallah in this course they're all planned for you because you need them for the purpose of understanding Qur'an. So please pay attention. You're welcome to take a note of this. It's not necessary, but it's also available in the appendix of the book I've given you in detail, inshallah. Grammarians have also identified 12 roles which indicates the ism to be in nasab. 12 roles which will make the ism in the nasab or mansoob. Now, of course, they sound daunting, 12 of them. How will I remember? In reality, almost the first 5 are objects. And we're already familiar with the one type of object which we've called maf'ul bihi. If you remember direct object with the ja'a hamidun example. So here, Ra'aytu hamidan is when it's nasab. So here is your object, Zaidan. So again, object is one and the rest are also object. In lesson number 13, which is number 9 on your list, we'll also cover another reason why an ism will go into nasab. The rest of them will be covered, inshallah ta'ala, in book 2. And I think in lesson 14 and 15 also will cover 11 and 12. So by the end of this book, you'll have an idea of 3. The rest will be covered, inshallah, in book 2 as we go into some further detail. So 12 roles for an ism to be in the nasab or mansoob. There are only 2 reasons in Arabic grammar why an ism will be in jarr or majroor. And there are, first of all, we've done quite a few examples. For example, we said, Salamtu ala hamidin. I gave salam to Hamid. The word ala is actually a special type of word, harf, called harf of jarr. And we're going to discuss them in detail in lesson 8 and 9. Please note, huruf of jar, they are called, they're used in the Quran almost 13,000 times. That means after lesson 8 and 9, how you understood why an ism in jar, you'll be able to recognize something in every line of Quran. I've told you the standard Mus'haf, the one that is used by the Huffaz, has 600 pages, 15 lines per page. So multiply that by that together, get 9,000 lines. So after lesson 8 and 9, inshallah, you'll be able to recognize something on every line of Quran. So please pay attention to the lessons that are coming. So the first reason why an ism will be jar is because before it there is a word like ala. Word like ala. So min ash-shaytani, this is jar. So reason 1, harf of jar. Reason number 2 is going to be covered again in lesson number 11 and 12, which we can see here, 11 and 12. And there we're going to discuss another reason why an ism goes into jar, and it is called mudaf ilayhi. So you can see here, hadha baytur rajuli, this is jar. Why is jar? Because mudaf ilayhi. It is a possessive case in some grammar books is called. Again, we're going to discuss in detail. The purpose for this is just to introduction, so you're not overwhelmed. So in summary, we have 12 reasons for nasab, 8 for jar, rafa, and only 2 for jar. And that's how we're going to cover the subject, inshallah, and we will be able to have a complete overview of this subject. So we looked at role and Iraab. Now we're going to look at category and expression. So we have the categories here, and we have the expression, the way they express their Iraab is linked to the category. We mentioned that. Again, let's quickly take an overview here. The purpose is not to go into any detail. We have here the first example, which is done with our harakat, which you can see, and we've gone through this in detail. These are your munsarif, those that take tanween and have 3 different endings in Iraab, either with tanween or a single vowel, un, an, in, or u, a, i. Then we have our ghayru munsarif, which only have 2 endings. Then we have our dhamma, we have our fatha, and we have our fatha in nasab and jar. So that's your second type. And the third main one is your mabni, which does not change. So there is no indication or any vowel, and they are exactly the same in rafa, nasab, and jar. So you can see here, hadha, hadha, hadha. So these are your main ones, the main 3, the primary ways of expressing Iraab. The munsarif, Muhammadun, Muhammadan, Muhammadin. Ghayru munsarif, Ibrahimu, Ibrahima, Ibrahima. And then we have non-changing like hadha, hadha, hadha. This is all you need to cover the bulk of your expression of Iraab. Then we have our duals, which go in their own specific way. Then we have also our plurals, sound masculine plural and sound feminine plurals. Again, this one you will be able to 100% grab if you just memorize the Muslim table mentioned in lesson number 4. So if we have your ani, aini, aini, una, ina, ina, atun, atin, atin. And that's all you need to cover, again, another very big bulk of the words that you are likely to come across. So these are your special categories: duals, sound masculine plurals, sound feminine plurals. Then the ones we introduced in this set, we're not going to do any further detailed study of them. The first set we mentioned here with the waw, alif, and ya. This is more common, so I put it at the top of our list, and they decline or they express their I'rab in this way. We'll discuss them in lesson number 11. And then we have words like Musa, okay, which technically not mabni, but they do not change at all. And again, the I'rab is said in this case to be hidden. And then we have our special cases like qadin, which we looked at, special, and the others we will pick up inshallah ta'ala as we pick up the further lessons in this lesson, inshallah. So you can see again categories of different categories expressing I'rab in different ways. Please take a note of them. Again, just brief notes will do. Don't really overburden yourself at this stage. I just want you to be aware that there are differences, and these are minority ones, very few. But if you concentrate on the 90%, the 10% will look after themselves. So just focus that, inshallah. That's it, brothers and sisters, for a look at the I'rab, which is one of the most confusing subject for students. I hope and pray that the approach I'm taking is of benefit. I have received so much messages from so many of you who are studying Arabic in so many other places and have found these videos beneficial. Please do continue with your studies, wherever you're studying with. But again, do take advantage of whatever's there for your benefit, inshallah. The full details of how to get the book and everything is in the description. It's difficult to distribute outside, but inshallah in the UK they're available, and also available through Amazon. But I've got the details in the description, inshallah. The e-learning pack is also available for you to get for the book as well, which you can follow. But I don't believe it's essential for you to have it. If you got it, great, alhamdulillah. It'll make life easy for you. Most important thing is whatever I'm putting up, please use it for the best of your advantage and try to continue to learn. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you with your good intentions, and may Allah make it easy for us. Don't forget to keep on making dua. Rabbi zidni ilma. Oh my Lord, increase me in knowledge. May Allah bless you and reward you with the very best in this world and the hereafter. My respected brothers and sisters in Islam, for your kind messages and your support and your du'as and all the messages you're sending me, I'm grateful. Just keep on making dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me the ability, the tawfiq, to continue to produce these videos and find the resources necessary to complete them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you again for all your kind messages. Please do keep feedback, any corrections, errors, whatever you see that will benefit others, please let us know. Until the next video, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
الذي علم بالقلم